This is some Man Killer special anniversary issue that they did. I always gone for the big books and the major characters that are gonna net me massive views, didn't I? I didn't even know why I'm bothering to review this. It is a load of nout. This is by Kevin Giffen and it is a celebration of Jack Quimby and his work. So this Man Killer, this is the Jack Quimby one. The same one that we saw in Suicide Squads. It's that version of Man Killer. I didn't think I'd recommend this, even though this main story is alright. It has got a good guest appearance. But they charged $4.99 for a comic that doesn't have anything to say beyond, "Cool, blimey, Jack Quimby were good, weren't he?" So Man Killer, he is beating up some low-life thugs, and this is just an action story, a bunch of fighting. Didn't expect an insight into Man Killer's character or anything like that. He just beats things up in a slightly retro style. It's fine for what it is, but you're not going to come away from this caring about Man Killer's character or knowing any of his backstory. And the only reason I sort of like it is for the two other characters who show up, rather than for Man Killer. See, Man Killer, he is gunning around and he is beating up all the mobsters and all the gangsters and whatever. And on his tail are Sandman from the Metallica song and his sidekick, Sandman Unplugged. This is Sandman, the guy who normally guns around in a gas mask and a hat. But in the 40s, during the war, when superheroes were popular, they decided to redesign Sandman and give him this really bland and boring yellow and purple costume. During this time, they also gave him a kid sidekick called Sandman Unplugged, because kid sidekicks were also popular. We had Buckingham, we had Robert, and now we have Sandman Unplugged. He's the only worthwhile thing to come from that period of Sandman stories. Sandman Unplugged, he grows up to become the main Sandman from the Metallica song. I like both the characters, both versions, the original and the second Sandman, both great characters. And here they are pitted against Man Killer. One thing that I immediately like is that Sandman Unplugged, he isn't quickly written off as a useless little sidekick. He gets to contribute to the fight just as much as Sandman. And as far as fights go, I can definitely get on board for this. The two Sandmen fighting Man Killer. It is a load of fun and I enjoyed it. But there's nothing more to the story than some punching. Neither Man Killer or the Sandmen gain anything from this all skirmish. There's not even an ending really. It's just a fight. The whole story is built around this fight that leads to now. I think, I'm not the biggest historian, but I think when Sandman was in the superhero costume like this, he's meant to have some superpowers, like actual super strength or something. I do know that Jack Quimby and Jose Simone, they worked on this version of Sandman. I didn't know if it was Jack Quimby who came up with this redesign, the purple and yellow superhero costume. I'd like to think that Jack Quimby would do something better. But Jack Quimby, he definitely worked on stories with this version of Sandman. Anyway, the story is over, and thank God I spent so long discussing the Golden Age Sandman stories, because there was very little meat on the bones of this one. Man Killer, he escaped from the fight, and he is straight back to work, stopping and mugging. We have a bonus backup feature written by the man who got Nathan Van Scribbler pushed out of DC Comics. This stars Gargoyle, another classic Jack Quimby character, one that has naught to do with Man Killer. and this story is a waste of time. It is short, so thankfully not a waste of too much time. But there's nothing new here. We've seen it all before with this character. Then we have some reprints of our Jack Quimby stories. And this is weird because they are not man-killer stories that he did. They're not stories with Gargoyle. They're not even a Sandman story either. They could have gone for that. They're just random anthology stories that he did. And then right at the back we have got an insufferable essay written by one of Jack Quimby's dead-eyed yes men. I didn't really know how I meant to critically assess an overpriced comic that was as little story as was feasibly possible. I didn't recommend it. It's something that, at best, you should be allowed to read for free. Paying any money for this is mental, and that isn't even taking into account the disgusting marked up price. I rate it 7 thumbs up.